You know, when I went into Sailor Moon, I didn't really know what to expect. All I knew was that it was going to be a classic shoujo series about magical girls. I also knew that it was quite popular even among a male audience, which is what got me curious about it in the first place. So as soon as I saw a deal on the Eternal Edition manga volumes, I picked them up and started reading. And the series was really good right from chapter 1. This series was able to introduce me to the characters and the world in a very seamless way that makes you want to keep reading. When it came to the art, I kinda already knew what it was going to look like because of the era it came out in. But honestly, the art really doesn't look even that bad. Sailor Moon surprised me with how good it was. Like, I figured it was going to be pretty good. I mean, you don't become a cultural phenomenon for nothing. But I didn't know how good this series was going to be. If you don't watch the anime, Sailor Moon's pacing is quite good. There isn't much I can find fault with. At least with the manga. The anime on the other hand, which is what brought the series into stardom in the first place, is a little rough around the edges, with a lot of filler as well as changing certain events and character personalities, which to me made it harder to sit through than the manga. So if you're like me and have never experienced this classic shoujo series, then I recommend that you read the manga over the anime, because the anime just doesn't really hold up to today's standards. And if you want to know if I've read Codename Sailor V, then no, I haven't. Sadly, I couldn't pick those volumes up at the same time as Sailor Moon, so I didn't get a chance to read them. But from what I know, the reading order for that series is a little confusing, and it also doesn't seem like I even need to read it to enjoy Sailor Moon, which is good because I really didn't want to have to pick up more volumes before having to read Sailor Moon. But with all that being said, Sailor Moon is a series that I would say lived up to the hype, and actually for me at least surpassed the hype because of how good the writing for the series actually is. Alright, now it's time to jump into the main part of the video. If you made it this far into the video, it would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I make new anime and manga content every week on a wide variety of series. The character writing in Sailor Moon is actually amazing. It's not anything over the top or crazy, but it is amazing. The relationships between the Sailor Guardians and Tuxedo Mask are quite good. They feel like real friends who care about each other, which is really cool. One of the things that I think holds this series back, however, is the villains. None of the villains are all that compelling. They don't even really feel like a threat most of the time, except for in the final arc. The structure of most of the arcs makes it pretty hard for them to even feel that way, as one chapter an enemy is introduced and the next chapter they're dead, which makes them not feel like a threat at all. Sometimes they defeat the Sailor Guardians or even do some other damage, but then by the end of the chapter everything is back to normal again. I wish that Sailor Moon would let the moment live a little bit longer and gave us a few extra chapters of the Sailor Guardians in despair and not knowing what to do. Or with their powers taken away like they did in the final arc of the series. That is my biggest criticism with the character writing of Sailor Moon, but besides all of that, it is pretty good with the relationships. Thinking back on it now, another thing I just thought of that holds the characters back is that their development throughout the series is minimal and is always tied to Sailor Moon in some way. I wish we could have gotten more chapters of the Sailor Guardians going out on their own and handling things like we know they can do. I still enjoyed the characters and the personalities a lot, and it makes the series really fun to sit through and enjoy. The world of Sailor Moon is quite interesting. It is mostly just 90s Japan, but there are a lot of other elements in the world that make it interesting, like the Moon Kingdom and other places like that that don't really exist in the real world. The setup for a lot of the unique places is kind of cool. They tell us a lot about who the villains are without having to go into too much detail, which is great. I do wish we got to explore more of these places, as we really only get to briefly see them during the final battles and sometimes when the enemies are talking. It would make the setup a lot cooler and make the series more compelling and interesting to see. But for the most part, the world of Sailor Moon is quite cool and makes the series quite fun to sit through and read. The art in the Sailor Moon manga is pretty good for its time, and it honestly still holds up today. The art isn't the greatest art ever or anything, but I still feel like it fits the series really well. The newer anime that I forgot the name of also looks pretty good in my opinion. It fits nicely with how the series feels, and it gets you invested if you want to go the anime route. The paneling in the manga is nice and really helps to enhance the storytelling of the manga and makes the series very easy to follow and read, which I really like. Sailor Moon does quite a lot right in the art department and makes everything a lot more fun to read. So if you were thinking about getting into Sailor Moon through the manga like I did, then you definitely should because the art is great. You know, Sailor Moon is a really good manga that I recommend people read at least to see how far the shoujo genre has come, but because I also think the series is quite good. There are of course a few flaws in this series, obviously, nothing is perfect, plus this series is quite old, so you get to see a bunch of old tropes in the series. But honestly, if you can look past all that stuff, then you get a really good series that is known as a classic shoujo series for a reason. So with all of that being said, read Sailor Moon or watch the newer anime, don't watch the 90s anime. It's not great, but yeah, that is the way you should go about it in order to experience this greatness. I hope you guys have been enjoying the shoujo content I've made over the past few weeks. I know I have, but it's time to get back to the normal content starting next week with a video that I'm really excited to make, and I hope the rest of you guys look forward to it as well because it is a series that I really love. So with all of that being said, see you guys next week. Bye bye.